Well, hey guys, we're cemetery hopping in Monroe County, Mississippi again, and today we're in Aberdeen at Oddfellows. And like many other cemeteries, this place has a praying angel and a weeping angel, although the weeping angel seems to be missing her hand. I'm going to bounce around and show you members of the 43rd Mississippi, and while I'm moving from grave to grave, I'll show you other interesting graves as I come upon them, so you better pay attention. And oh yeah, if you like this kind of content, boop that like button. I became interested in the 43rd because, well, I grew up in Aberdeen, and the 43rd was formed in Aberdeen on May the 15th, 1862. And of course, a regiment consisted of about 1,000 men and 10 companies. So for instance, Company A, Frank Rogers Rifles, was made up of around 100 guys from right here in Monroe County, while Company B, the Lowndes Riflemen, were from Lowndes County. And here you're visiting the Sykes family square in the cemetery to see the grave of Columbus Sykes. In early January of 1865, the 43rd was ordered back toward Tupelo. They were in need of rest and recuperation and probably just trying to figure out what was next after the disastrous Tennessee campaign. Robert Lowry turned the command of the brigade over to Lum so that he could go and visit relatives. So on January the 5th, the brigade was camped somewhere between Tupelo and Fulton when Lum was joined by Horatio Perry and Sergeant William Owen. They laid their blankets down about 30 or so feet from an old white oak tree. This old tree was about 4 feet in diameter, and about 2 a.m. it fell on the three men. Sergeant Owen and Captain Perry never knew what hit them. Lum was conscious, though, and cried out for a time, saying things like, "Why should I have to die this way? If only I could have died in battle like my brother." I think that's an incredible story of the 43rd. I mean, these guys have been through so much to be killed by a white oak tree falling on them. Now we're going to visit the grave of General Samuel Gholson. Gholson was the commander of Company L, Gholson's rebels, from right here in Monroe County. When Colonel Moore formed the regiment, Gholson was a captain, and he was around 54 years old from right here in Aberdeen. He challenged Moore for the colonelcy, and for a time he refused to sign on his company unless an election was held. Early on in the war, officers were elected from the enlisted ranks. Moore consented to the election if Gholson would abide by the results. Moore won the colonelcy, and Gholson's company came into the regiment. A federal cavalry raid down the Mobile and Ohio Railroad around December the 28th of 1864 cost General Gholson his left arm. This was the fourth time he had been wounded and pretty much ended his service in the field. After the war, Gholson practiced law and served in the Mississippi House of Representatives, at one point serving as Speaker. Judge Gholson also served the United States District Court as judge for the Northern District of Mississippi and then later for the Southern District. Let's move along from Judge Gholson because we've made our way out to Wren Cemetery in Monroe County, and we're here to visit the grave of William Frank English. You know, somewhere over 80,000 Mississippians served in the Confederate Army and the state militia during the Civil War. And people like Mr. English, well, he was a third sergeant before war's end. They returned home to just nothing. Farms were overgrown, and livestock had been used by one army or the other, and even their fences had been used as firewood. Many of these soldiers left Mississippi for other areas. Sergeant English came back home and stayed here. As a Confederate soldier, he served in Company A of the 43rd Mississippi. He was captured at Vicksburg and then paroled, and according to his 1900 pension application, which, by the way, Confederate pensions were woefully small, especially as compared to the Union counterparts. The economy was so bad that there was just no money around to give even veterans for a long time. Anyway, on that 1900 pension application, he says that he was wounded on July the 22nd, 1864, in Atlanta. He surrendered in North Carolina at the end of the war. He was around 33 years old, and it seems he came back here however he could after the war and just lived his life the best that he could, without any help certainly from any type of government, until about 1900 when he applied for that Confederate pension. Sergeant English lived such a difficult life to be true, but it was full and active, and at least now he's asleep in Jesus. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning a little something about these guys of the 43rd today. Thank you.